Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. Lazio 1, Roma 1, 1-1 derby and 1 draw this season in the two Rome derbies, in the two available Rome derbies of the season. We managed to end the season with 0 defeats in the two derbies. But we're coming from, I think, a very dull game yesterday. I think it was not a good game from us. It wasn't a good game in general, but of course, speaking on our behalf, speaking about us and analysing our game, I think it was a very weak game. We were saved by two individuals, an absolute jewel from Matti Sule, incredible technique from Matti yesterday, and most importantly from this man behind me, which says, here you can't read it, but it says, everywhere protect me. I'm going to start off with a premise here. The fact that SVILAR still hasn't received a contract extension is embarrassing. This man, you need to give this man whatever he wants. If he asks for 4 million, you give him 6 million. If he asks for 8 million, you give him 12 million. Because he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now, and that is not an exaggeration. He is easily top 5 goalkeepers in the world right now. And most importantly, if you do not extend his contract, they're going to get him this summer. They're going to get him. They're going to offer big money. And I know you too well, the Roma board will not reject the money. And we will have an Alisson 2.0 all over again. Having a good, solid, quality goalkeeper is not an easy thing in modern football. So we need to restart from him. We need to restart from probably the player who has been the most consistent this season, the player who has saved us the most this season, and an absolute incredible goalkeeper that we have and that we were very, very good to scout. Credits to Thiago Pinto. Because he's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. We've been saved by him and Matti Sule yesterday. But yeah, look, in general, I was quite disappointed coming out of the ground yesterday. And I was quite disappointed because a draw is useless. And because the performance was not a good performance. I think sometimes there's nothing I can say because sometimes we play well. And we're unlucky, we can't win a game. But yesterday, I'd actually argue that we were lucky that we did end up drawing. Because if we'd lost yesterday's game, we could not have said anything. I think a draw is fair. Because as much as they were better in the first half, we were better in the second half. That's no shadow of doubt about that. But yeah, I do think there were high risks of losing yesterday's game. Of course, the pressures of playing an away derby are always big. And of course, the derby itself is always a game which it requires more than a magnifying glass to analyze in detail because of various different aspects. It's a derby. A draw in the derby is not the end of the world, which is why a few weeks ago in that sheet of paper, this sheet of paper that we did to aim for Champions League football, I did put a draw. I think a draw in the derby is not... It's not the end of the road. It happens. It happens and it's completely fine to draw a derby. The problem is, drawing a derby, you had to win last weekend against Juventus to push for that Champions League dream. And number two, it's the performance, which I think had to be better. At least I had better expectations from yesterday's game because we had the full week to prepare the game. And we had a full week to prepare the game. And if there was one of the two teams that looked like played on Thursday, it was us. We looked dead in the first 45 minutes. We did nothing in the first 45 minutes. And it only took their goal to require our reaction. I actually would not be surprised to say that we played yesterday's game to draw. We played yesterday's game not to lose, you can tell, because that first half performance is not good enough. And it's not a performance that you pull in such a game, you know. But yeah, look, I think a draw is useless. A draw definitely cuts us out of the Champions League race. Yes, there is no way we get in the Champions League after the draw against Juventus and the draw against Lazio. Again, what I said in the Juventus match preview, I won't read my own words. You can be as disappointed as you want, but if you're mad that this team is not in the Champions League, you're not being real. You can only be mad if we don't get Europe this season, which even if we do get Europe, even if it's the Conference League, it would be a major achievement seeing the start of the season. So, of course, being mad at the team, being mad that we won't play in the Champions League is not fair. Our objective now is to consolidate Europa League, which, I'll say it now, it's not easy. It's not guaranteed that we are going to play in the Europa League next season, because Italy only brings 4 teams in the Champions League, which means that only 5th and 6th go in the Europa League. And at time of speaking, both Lazio and Bologna are ahead of you. And you're 7th. At time of speaking, you would be in the Conference League. And you need to be careful because, yes, Fiorentina and Milan are behind you, but they're only 1-2 points behind you. So I think getting Europa League would be a very big achievement. But it's not easy and it's not guaranteed. I think everyone is so tight that Champions League is very hard, if not impossible. Europa League is also hard because remember, our calendar is probably one of the hardest. So I would not be surprised if we won't qualify for the Europa League. Now, I've already seen this question pop out. Would you rather get Conference League or no European football? I will answer with all honesty here. I don't necessarily want Conference League football. I'll be honest. I don't necessarily demand it, want it. But I will also never, and this is something that I will never do, I will never reject a European tournament. So if we play in the Conference League, we play in the Conference League. And I'll tell you another thing. If we were to win the Conference League again, I would celebrate with all the enthusiasm like I did in the first one. So ideally, yes, I don't want Conference League. But me as a person, you will never hear me pronounce words rejecting European tournaments. Whether it's Champions League, Europa League, or Conference League. I don't care. 1 year, 1 full season without European football scares the shit out of me. 1 full season without European football will be boring as hell. And even if it's the Conference League, I will want to go the whole way. Of course, I would start the B team in the majority of games in the Conference League. But if it's the Conference League, it's the Conference League. And if it's the Conference League, I take the Conference League. Of course, I'd rather Europa League. I'm not cutting out Europa League. Europa League is very possible. You know, it is very possible. But it's hard. It's not guaranteed. So, because what a lot of people do here is, right, Champions League is gone, but at least we'll be in the Europa League. Careful when saying that. Because being completely out of the Champions League does not mean that you will necessarily play the Europa League. Because you've got like 6 teams all separated by like 1 point, 2 points. So every game week, everything can change. But yeah, Europa League is the objective. The objective is consolidating 5th or 6th, which is possible, but you have to be careful. Which is very possible, but you have to be careful. Right, going back to the game. No need to focus on that now. I think, I'll say one thing. I'll say 2 things which I think combine together. By the way, in the meantime, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. That Sule goal was brilliant. That Sule goal deserves a like. It was an incredible goal. Probably one of the best goals I've seen in a Rome derby. Being live at the ground. Incredible. The way he curved it. So, yeah. Hit the like and subscribe. We're 10 subscribers away from 16k. So, if you can subscribe if you're new here or get your families or friends, it would be great. 2 things. First thing, you can tell that we're not physically tired, but that we are mentally tired. Now, what do I mean by mental exhaustion? Mental exhaustion, I can never pronounce the word exhaustion. I've had this problem since I was like in year 2 at school. I'm never capable, I've been never capable of pronouncing the word exhaustion. exhaustion, whatever it is. It's one of my problems. Mental fatigue derives from the fact that we are unbeaten in the league since the end of 2024. Because why does this concept tire you out? The fact that with the Juventus game and with the Lazio game, we looked a bit more tired and we looked a bit more off is because these players are mentally tired. Because keeping an unbeaten run in the league, which is long 16 games, requires mental fatigue in a sense that you feel that force, that psychological force which goes, I can't lose because I'm on a run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Count that all again, slow down, 1, 2, it's 16 games is a lot. Carrying this 16 unbeaten streak momentum and continue with it requires mental fatigue. Because these players feel as if they are forced to get the best out of them. And this comeback that we made from 15th position to 6th position, wherever we are in the league right now, 7th, it has required us and Ranieri squeezing a lot of concentration, a lot of fatigue out of these players. So it is understandable to be mentally to be mentally drained. However, I cannot tolerate the performance yesterday because you've had 1 week to prepare the game and you never shot on target yesterday. You've had 1 week to prepare this game compared to a team which travelled back from Norway on Friday afternoon, and they played with more intensity than you. So that's the thing which makes me annoyed, because they ran more than you. They played with more intensity, and it looked like they wanted it more than you. And seeing the fact that you focused on this game, you had 1 full week to focus on this game, and seeing the fact that they had about 24 hours to prepare this game is not tolerable. Had it been the opposite, had we played the Bodo Glimt game, I'd have said draw perfect. But it's not like that. One of the bonuses of being out of Europe is concentrating and preparing games with a lot of time. And this has not been applied well in the Juventus game and in the Lazio game of these past 2 weekends. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Dybala, not Dybala. I know there's a big difference, but Dybala, not Dybala, this team needs to do more in big games. Because the problem here is, the problem here is very simple to describe. If every season we win the games that we need to win, but never manage to win the direct games against their top rivals, we will never get in the Champions League, and that's mathematical. You will always get 63 points. I don't remember Roma winning a good amount of direct games, of big games, since Spalletti's time when Nainggolan scored that brace at San Siro against Inter. That is probably the last season where I remember Roma winning the majority of big games. Now, I'm not saying you have to win every big game. You don't have to win every big game because nobody wins every big game. But the problem is that you never win a big game. And that is a problem. And that's the reason why, that's ultimately the reason why we always end seasons like the previous ones. Because if you always win the games that you need to win, so you always beat Verona, you beat Genoa, you beat, Como, you beat Torino, you beat these teams, well done. You accumulate your points. But then you never manage to beat Milan, Inter. Lazio is the only big game that you won this season. Napoli you don't win. Juventus you don't win. If you don't win these games, you will never get more than the 63 points figure that we always get and have always been getting for the past 5 years. So, of course, the team needs players. The team needs investments. I said this last weekend with the Juventus game. without Dybala, there is not one player which can carry this team in this team right now. And we lack big game players. We simply do. Soulé yesterday, great goal. I've got nothing to say on the goal. But if he hadn't scored that goal, Soulé yesterday was a ghost. Dovbyk, ghost. Dovbyk didn't touch one ball yesterday. Salamakers, good. But apart from the goal that he scored against Lazio, name me a game where he changed or scored or assisted in a big game. We don't have big game players. We don't have players who perform in bigger stages and in bigger games. And that's a problem. Because Dovbyk is great. He bags the goals against Genoa. He bags the goals against Como, which are important. But I don't remember Dovbyk playing one good big game this season. So, you see, that is where the problem comes. What we need this summer is, first of all, big game players. But that doesn't necessarily mean big names. And the other thing that we need is players who are good on one-on-ones. Because especially nowadays in football, you need fast players. I mean, again, I'm not trying to compare Roma and PSG. I don't want to compare Roma and PSG. But I want to give you this example. I was watching the game between Villa and PSG last Tuesday. PSG this season, what a team. What a team. I hope PSG win the Champions League. Because PSG are a beauty to watch. But why are they a beauty to watch? Because their team has got players who are lethal on one-on-ones. And in modern football, if you've got players who are lethal on one-on-ones, you win football games. Desiree Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Ousmane Dembélé. I'm not comparing the two. We will never get these players. But I'm just saying, we need fast players. We need players who are good on one-on-ones. We need players who bring the ball forward, but then do something, create something, and not pass the ball back. And that has been our problem. That's been our problem since Mourinho arrived, even before. Oh, no. Il Carcere di Mauri. Salamandra has 6 goals and 6 assists. I love Salamakers. Salamakers has been incredible this season. And I want Salamakers to stay. And I plead every day for the man to stay because I love Salamakers, also on a personality point of view. And he's been great. But apart from the goal in the 2-0 derby this season in January, name me a big game that he played and scored or created a chance or created a winning thing. He didn't. So, yeah, we've got players who are learner drivers. We've got players who I like, but players who are not ready to win big games. And I am not sure that they will be ready in the near future to carry this team in big games. And this is a problem that we also have with Dybala. You know, people who say, well, it's a problem because we don't have Dybala. I disagree. This is a problem that has persisted with us even when Dybala was on the pitch. Dybala can't do everything by himself. You need to assist Dybala when he's there. And, you know, so I think this summer what we need is, the first thing that you need to do now, tomorrow, this evening, is extend that bloody contract. SVILAR contracts, that contract needs to be extended. If you don't extend SVILAR's contract this summer, he will leave. That's a statement. Because City, Chelsea or whoever will come in, get 60 million. United, Manchester United, who have Andre Onana in goal, who hasn't saved one thing this season, will come in this summer, pay 60 million for SVILAR, and they will fuck you up. You need to extend that contract. He has said that he wants to stay. Pay whatever he wants. Don't be a spoiled bitch. Don't be a spoiled little bitch. And pay the contract. Pay whatever he wants. Even more. He needs to stay. He needs to stay. Yeah, other than that, I think, well, on Sunday we have a game that we have to win, and we will win against Verona at home. But then after we've got Inter away, Fiorentina at home, Atalanta away, and Milan at home. Look, I'm not sure, because I'm not convinced by this team in big games. I really don't. I mean, look, I have reached the stage where I've exceeded expectations. I remember back in November when I was crashing my head on this thing because we were desperate to win games. The fact that we're on a 16 unbeaten streak in the league is unbelievable. I've got nothing to say. And that's why I would be happy even if we get Conference League, because these things were unimaginable months ago. And this team has played well and deserves its credit because they managed to relift themselves up from this black hole by themselves with their bare hands. But speaking on the behalf of a real fan who analyzes football games, this team, especially without Dybala, but even with Dybala in the majority of games, still doesn't fully convince me in big games. I am yet to see this team tested and play a big and win, dominate a big win game, big top game, direct game. Okay? But that's that. The last thing which I want to say, and then I'll leave. There needs to be a change in football, and this change is this is a message to, in general, football rules. I still can't believe that in 2025 they still haven't decided to stop the time in football. Now, why do I say this? I say this because I was at the game yesterday, and I am not joking, every single 5 minutes, even less, every seconds, I saw Zaccagni on the floor. Now, that Zaccagni is a bitch, we all know, that Rovella is a clown, and that Guendouzi looks like Rosario Muniz, we all know. They're all dickheads, we know. That it's a derby, big games, waste of time, mockeries, shithousery, we all know. And everything is fine. I like shithouseries. I fully promote mockeries and shithouseries. I truly believe that football without mockeries would be boring as hell. But there needs to be the stoppage of time in football, because it's ridiculous. If somebody yesterday would have had a timer next to them and timed the game that we actually played football, I would bet my hands that time would not have been more than 33 minutes max. There needs to be a change, because it's not possible. There is too much waste of time. Players on the floor, goalkeepers wasting time. And there's need to be something about this, because it's unsustainable and it's just not good to watch. It's so stop and start. It's so slow. Zaccagni was on the floor crying every 3 seconds yesterday. Every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, I turned around and I saw Zaccagni on the floor. And I know it's a derby, and it's you do that in derbies. You do waste time in derbies. We do it as well. But in general, derby not derby, you need to put the time. You need to put the rules like in basketball, where if the game stops, if there's a foul, if there's a waste of time, if the ball goes out, you stop the time. You stop the counter. And then you will see that we will play much more. Now, of course, 45 minutes and 45 minutes with a timer, stop the timer, start the timer, is too much. Reduce the time to like 33 minutes and 33 minutes instead of 45 and 45. But you need to stop the time. Because, I mean, Carissa, the Italian of you guys will know who he is. He's an Italian journalist, one of the best Italian journalists in my opinion. He showed a graphic that he had made where he showed the average amount of time that was actually played in Serie A games this season. And it's surprising as hell. It's like 48 minutes out of 90 that we actually play football. It's not possible. It's not possible to continue like this. The referee lost control of yesterday's game, I agree. But in general, this applies also outside of yesterday's game. It's even becoming too boring to watch. Because every 2 seconds, there is somebody on the floor. And we can't continue on like this. The new rule needs to come in immediately. As soon as possible, to stop the time rule, like in basketball. Because otherwise, you play like 30 minutes out of 90. And it's the truth. It's the truth. Right, I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Preparation for the Verona game. Let's see, of course, if in this Easter week we can have some news on the manager. Some people say that the Roma manager will be announced this week, but I highly doubt it. We don't win big games, but recently we don't lose them. I agree, yeah, true. Right, hit the like, subscribe. Make sure to go watch the stadium vlog yesterday. It's not the best of games, but it's probably one of the best goals ever. So reaction and goal deserves a click and a like. Hit the like, subscribe, 100 likes and it would be great. As always, we're 10 subscribers away from 16k. If we can hit it, it would be great. Yeah, catch you soon. Bye-bye. Enjoy. Simo out.